Chairmo Alaghodaro board Asue Ighodalo don do one talk session with tori pipo on Wednesday for Observer on top di Alaghodaro 2023 summit wey go shele from 8 to 12 November 2023 with the theme "The Edo Story: Creating Shared Opportunities into the Future." Asue Ighodalo come chook mouth on the purpose why dem create Alaghodaro board and say dem dey set out from the government to help give suggestions and recommendations to the government to develop, ensure good governance and carry Edo from where e dey before to a better place.
When His Excellency Godwin Obaseki came into government, after his first 10 months, he thought it would be a really good idea to create a platform where we would have government personnel, the commissioners, the advisors, and top government officials, heads of MDAs and permanent secretaries, interacting with business people, NGOs, and civil society, primarily to ensure that we have the best platform possible to exchange ideas as to what way forward for Edo State. I think our goal is how can you create a state that will even be economically stronger than the federal. That's the ultimate. So what we do at the summit is we recommend. That's all we are. We're not, nobody elected us to office. We were just appointed by His Excellency to create a platform where ideas can bubble, we can discuss ideas, and at the end of each summit, we compile the recommendations from the summit, we submit it to His Excellency, and then, like I said, maybe once or twice during the year, we meet with him and His Exco to find out the recommendations we sent to you, how far. And then he will tell us, yes, some of those recommendations we accepted, some we didn't accept. Why didn't you accept those ones? And then if he wants, he gives us his reasons. If he wants, he will say they're thinking about it. So that's our function. And we're not implementers, we can't do much more than that. We on the board of the Alaghodaro believe that the Alaghodaro Summit has been a fantastic innovation of governance, because it brings another view. It brings diversity, it brings other people's views. Exco sits week in, week out, and its own views, its own thinking. Alaghodaro broadens that thinking, or brings another version of thinking, which provides diversity, which is good, and which can interrogate some of the activities of government by itself. Measuring success, we don't beat our chests in Alaghodaro, but we know and we feel strongly that a majority of our recommendations have come into government policy formation. A majority of our recommendations have been fully implemented. Because again, you have to be careful not to enter politicians' trouble. We wouldn't say that A, B, C, D, E were our own specific recommendations that were implemented. But we on the board of Alaghodaro feel very proud of the work we've done, and we are thankful to His Excellency for giving us the opportunity. You would all recall that His Excellency was actually focused, very focused on the developmental strides that we must make to ensure that we move Edo State from where it was to coming into the cusp of being a first world environment. And he thought one of the best things to do was to have this platform where we could exchange ideas. So that's how the idea of Alaghodaro was conceived. He set up a board for the Alaghodaro, and we incorporated it as a company limited by guarantee, separate from the government itself, so we could drive this process annually. Part of also what we thought we would do with the outcome of the interactions at this platform was to sift out the recommendations from each Alaghodaro and provide the recommendations to government, so that government would look at those recommendations, see the parts of the recommendation that could key into the policies of government. That would also help enhance and drive the work of developing our state, and the work of dragging our people out of poverty, of providing strong infrastructure, and ensure that we have a first-class state. There's still a lot of work to be done, but you will see that over this last 7 years, there have been transformational changes in the state. And many of the ideas have come from our summits and the output from our summits. This is our 7th. We've had 6 summits, And each summit has been an improvement on the last, and the recommendations from each summit have always been submitted to the governor and to EXCO. And like I said, EXCO has distilled some of those recommendations. Sometimes they don't accept some of the recommendations from the summit, but they've distilled some of the recommendations, and it has helped in a lot of the work that has been done in the state. So as Alaghodaro, me and my colleagues are extremely proud to have been able to serve the state in that way, to be able to contribute to developmental thinking and policy formation and reform steps in the state. And I believe that this will not be the last Alaghodaro. We will have it as the 7th and the last in this government, but our thinking, and I'm sure His Excellency in his handover notes to his successor, will suggest to him or her that Alaghodaro should continue, because the platform it provides and the work we do, sometimes, I missed out on that. In the course of the year, we also meet with His Excellency and his executive to look through what they have done with our recommendations submitted, how they have keyed some of those recommendations into their policy formation, and how improvements, or which improvements are quite obvious and have been inculcated into governance. So through the year, we're also engaging. If we think there are things that should be done differently, we suggest. But again, the buck stops on His Excellency's table, and he determines the direction he goes. So like I was saying, we're very proud for the work we've done in the last 7 years, and we're hopeful that whoever succeeds will continue with Alaghodaro in this form, or at least an improved form, so that the people of the state can continue getting the benefit of diversified thinking and different views of how things can be improved in our state. Edo State is the heartbeat of Nigeria. It's a state that has capacities beyond many other states. And I think it's important that we have a platform to harness the thinking on these capacities and how best these capacities can be used. We're a policy recommending group. We're not the implementer. And like I also said, the buck stops on the table of His Excellency, working through his EXCO. We are not government, we are not EXCO. Our role is to create a platform where people can discuss about what can we do to make Edo State a shining example among states.
Ighodalo comes to give highlights of the activities wey go shele for the Alaghodaro 2023, wey start with the press conference and the Edo Women's Summit, and come also say the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedo Kwakolokpolo, Oba Eware II, don give the go-ahead for tourists to visit and experience life for Edo, and to also show them the success story of Edo.
Alaghodaro technically starts today with my engagement with you distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So this is the first Alaghodaro event for the year 2023. Later on this morning, we're going to have the Women Conference, where we'll be meeting with women all over the state, from all walks of life in the state, so we get their own view as to what they think about governance and where they think, as women, we can improve on governance in the states. For me, I've always said it, women are really the touch and feel of every community. So we'll have that event this morning. It will be anchored by our Chief Executive and the Office of the First Lady. After that event today, tomorrow, most of our guests would have come in. Most of our guests coming for deliberations at the summit proper on Friday would have come in. What we decided to do was to showcase some of the things that have been done in the state, particularly physical and other infrastructure around the state. So we've organized a tour, and they'll be visiting most of the major places where there have been active and obvious reform, physical construction, and then we know Edo State to be a place of massive tourism historically and strong historic sites. Our Oba has kindly consented to some of the tourists coming into the palace for a tour of the palace, and then all of the places around the palace where we have our artifacts, manufacture, and carvings, they will visit. They will have lunch in a typical eatery in Edo State, where we'll have an assortment of our foods here. So they're going to experience life in Edo, how life in Edo truly is, and they will look through the state and go through physical infrastructures. We'll even bring them here, so they will see the Observer and the renovation that's happening in the Observer. Hopefully, the first edition of the Observer will be rolled out tomorrow, so they will take away copies of the paper, and they will go to the Victor Waifo hub next door, and they will tour the city. We have success stories to show them, you know. Because of time, we may not go outside Benin tomorrow, but we will show them success stories so they can see what has happened and what is happening and the reforms that are happening in the States. After that, we will then have cocktails in the evening, and we expect that we'll have had many more of our summiteers who will have come in by the evening, and His Excellency and the executives will interact with the summiteers. Then on Friday the 10th is when we would have the cerebral brainstorming summit session itself. And we will start at 9:30 a.m. by God's grace at the festival hall. In the afternoon, after the summit, we'll have our Jumat service, which is traditional. And then in the evening, we'll have a state dinner where we will, His Excellency would have dinner and feed the summiteers. And at that dinner, our past governors will also be recognized for their contribution to the development of the state. On Saturday, as is customary, we'll have the golf tournament for those who play golf. But what we decided to do this year was to go beyond just that, so that we could involve everybody. We could involve everybody in the state. So we will have what we call the Edo Food Fair and Edo Market. And what will happen there is that we have procured from a lot of our producers in the 3 senatorial districts of the state different food products. And we'll bring them there, and we will sell them at prices lower than market. So anybody who comes into the venue can be able to buy any food product, and they'll buy them much, much cheaper than they'll be able to buy them in any market, either next door or next day, so that we can create a bubbling atmosphere of showcasing also what we produce in the state. So some of the summiteers that are still around would come there and would shop around. But more importantly, or as important, is that we will create an atmosphere of fun. We'll have a fun day. We have sponsors like Nigerian breweries and other sponsors who will display their products and who will give out their products. We will have a carnival party atmosphere. So when you finish buying and shopping, then you start doing treasure hunts, you start listening to music, we dance. So we just want to create a vibrant, happy atmosphere, so as to also determine to people that we, the people of Edo State, after hard work, we also know how to play hard, and we also know how to have fun. So we want to show showcase the good parts of our state to our visitors, and also get our own people to also participate. We don't want the view that we're not all participants in this Alaghodaro process, and anybody can walk into the venue, anybody. It's at Garrick Memorial, and we have enough space for everybody. We'll have musicians, different musicians coming to play. We just want to create a strong, happy carnival atmosphere. And in the evening on Saturday, then it'll be time for the youths. We'll have the youth concerts. It will be a massive, massive concert. All our exports, so it will be like a return home for all our creative exports. Our singers, our creatives. Edo State has the largest concentration of comedians, I want to say even in the world, So we will, and it's going to be a major fun evening. So we'll have concerts, singing, dancing, comedians, skits, different things, to show the creative aspects of ourselves and our state and our people. Just before that, for those who know and who have been around there, His Excellency asked and commissioned that a studio, fit-for-purpose, world-class studio, be built within the WIFO Center. So he'll commission it very quickly before we start the youth concert. That studio is a world-class studio. Any creative or anybody that seeks to record anything to any level or standard, world standard, can use the studio. I think it will also attract people in the creatives who want to record first-class work into our state. And it enhances that creative hub. It then turns it into not just where you exhibit works, but where you can produce works, and so you have a full service center as a creative. On the Sunday the 12th, we'll have a Thanksgiving praise evening starting at 4 p.m. Like at the Jumat service, we all need to give thanks to God for wonderful things He has done in our lives and in our state.
Make una not forget say, as we see am, na so we dey talk am. We no dey take blame. From Benin City, Ekata Ojiseli, TMC TV News.